enlightenment sage, the teacher of Swami Vivekananda, said, "The winds of grace are blowing all the time. All we need to do is raise our sails." So this morning we'll look a little bit at how to do that. Over these past months, I have been offering teachings on how to contemplate the elements of nature. Why should we do that? Well, because connecting with nature is a very powerful way to experience the healing and the inspiration that we all need right now. Learning how to restore our hearts and our minds, not turning aside, not closing our eyes, shutting down our hearts, but opening them. We can become aware of the sacred nature of this world, of this life, and even of this time that we're living in, this fraught and fragile time. It's possible, and it's really what we must do. We can find the healing we need, the strength, the resilience through making a conscious connection with nature. I mean, when we go out into nature, we are restored, but we can turn that up by doing it consciously, learning about it. Everything in nature, including our bodies and our minds, are imbued with spirit and are formed of the same basic 5 elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space. And each one of those elements can inspire us and be a doorway into contemplation of the infinite, omnipresent, divine reality. Most of us, I think, here, since we're a meditation center and you're here, most of us are familiar with closing our eyes to pray or meditate, withdrawing our attention from matter, from circumstances, from other people, from distraction, and as Jesus put it, learning how to go into our closet to pray. And that's an absolutely essential skill for us to have. We need that, and it is restorative. But I think we also need to learn how to pray in the marketplace, how to connect spiritually and profoundly with spirit in and as the world. We have to stop dividing it up. This is the problem we have today. We have to stop dividing spirit and nature, because when we do, we actually put God in the closet, in a box. We wall off our existence with spirit, our connection with spirit, to only a time when we can sit and be silent with our eyes closed. And that's a good part of it, but it's only part of it. So I say, let's go out into the garden, out into the streets, out into the forest, off to the ocean, or off to the grocery store. Not right now, because I'm talking, but you know what I mean, right? I want to go into my kitchen to pray. I want to go into my office to pray. I want to be skillful at that. I want to recognize the shrines of divine love in all places and in the hearts and the minds of all creatures and all beings everywhere, all that I encounter. Let's bow to that. Let's practice that. Let's learn how to do that. And I think we can let the elements help us along the way. They're pervasive. They're teachers for us. So far, in this series, we've contemplated earth and water and fire. And with each element, we consider its influence, what it makes possible in creation, as well as what the qualities inherent to that element can inspire in us, what it can teach us. So today, we're turning to the air element. So I want to start with 3 things to consider about the air element and our relationship to it. 1, it's everywhere. It's everywhere and we don't see it. And we can see it if there's another element mixed in there, like, smoke or mist from water making fog, but it's everywhere, we don't see it. 2, we depend on it. And usually we're not aware of it, unless we can't access it. And then we're very aware of it. And 3, air is a driver of all that moves. It's a change agent. It can purify and uplift and move towards transformation. And our relationship with that is that we have barely begun to learn how to cooperate with that and how to use it in a positive way. So when you listen to those 3 things that I've listed, it's everywhere, we depend on it, it's a driver of transformation. Wow, of course, air is a ready-made metaphor for spirit, right? So this connection has been made, through the traditions, through time. It's all pervasive. It's essential. We rely on it. It touches everything and moves towards freedom. It's existence without form. We literally can't live without air, but we often do forget it's there. Observing it, feeling it right now, noticing it, can be a prayer door of divine remembrance. There's a verse from the Christian Bible, from John 3:8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear the sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it's going. So it is with everyone born of spirit. We can feel it. We can notice its influence if we look and consider what it touches and moves. The breeze blowing through the trees that make the leaves move. The breeze above the temple that moves the tree in the temple that speaks to us as it creaks along. The wind that moves the ocean waves. The air guitar makes its silent music. The music is there. You can see it in the guy's face. You can't hear it, but you can see it. The breath in our lungs. It's the same way with spirit, with God, whatever name you want to use for that. We can't see God, but we know there's a source and a support of our life. We can intuit that. We can discern that. And we can feel that. And we can actually come to know that directly. That's the goal of the path. Come to realize that, I am that. That is the truth of my very being, my existence. In times of trouble, we might not have contact with that reality. We might say, I'm struggling. God, where are you? Where are you? Or sometimes we look at our world and we say, how could God let this happen? Right? But the question really is, where are we? And to ask ourselves, where am I? Not where's God, but where am I? Am I here? Am I present? Am I awake to this breath, to this existence, to this moment? Or am I caught up in thoughts? Am I in my head with worry, anxiety, judgment, concerns, blame, memories? How do we arrive? How do we arrive here, now, to be fully present? There's a beautiful Ojibwe saying, sometimes I go about pitying myself when all the while I am being carried across the sky by a great wind. Sometimes I go about pitying myself when all the while I am being carried across the sky by a great wind. Arriving is simple. All it takes is one conscious breath to let the mind sink into the heart. You can try it right now. Connect with spirit, spirit that is the breath within the breath inside the breath. You know, it's so interesting that, we wait for the moment and we rejoice at the baby's first breath. And we wait for the moment of a loved one's last breath and we grieve. The one we say they've arrived, the other they've departed. But there is a big span of time, usually, if we're fortunate, between those two. Not so much attention on the breath. The power of the breath for arriving, departing. So we have a clue there, don't we? A clue. So let us be more attentive to the power of the breath. And of course, I'm not saying, we have to just be aware of every breath. That would be great. But how about once in a while, just during the day, a moment, conscious breath, a prayer, conscious breath. Because breath is a doorway to the infinite. Still breath, the stilling of the breath, the pause between the inhalation and the exhalation is a doorway to the transcendent, to the transcendental absolute that's unmoving, unchanging. The moving breath is a door to manifestation, to embodiment. So either way, we have it, spirit and nature. Spirit is omnipresent. Grace is omnipresent. All we need to do is raise our sails. And we can do that with a conscious breath. Just become conscious of grace. Turn to it by becoming open and present to it. Air moves all the other elements. It's a catalyst for change and transformation, like spirit. So we can use our awareness of air, of breath, to help us change our mind, and by changing our mind, to change our consciousness, to change our circumstances. We can help ourselves do that with the power of the air element, with the power of breath. With our breath, we can slow down. We can connect to essence. We can quiet the mind. This is powerful. We can quiet the mind. We can become open to intuition. We can become open to discernment if we're not just driving blindly in the world, but we're able to stop and use our breath to arrive and listen. Just be present. The Buddhist master, Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed recently, so grateful for him, his life, his work. He said, feelings come and go like clouds in the sky. Feelings come and go like clouds in the sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. That's the anchor for all of us. When we're in a storm of thought, feelings of anxiety or even excitement. Breath is an anchor to be connected to soul, to spirit. In the subtle body, air element is located in the heart chakra, the principal abode of the Lord of Love. So air quality can teach us and help us learn how to lift ourselves up. It can help us change. It can help us move out of being stuck. Have you ever been stuck? Like not in traffic, but in the traffic in your mind? So air can teach us a lot about letting go of clinging or resistance to change. Because, boy, do we suffer when we hold on and when we resist change. Because life is change. Our ability to touch and to feel is the sensory connection to the map of air element in the body. And our ability to grasp and to let go are the associated actions of air in the map, in the yoga map of the subtle body. So how can air element help us learn how to let go? It's a life skill we all need to polish. Am I right about that? You know, sometimes I think, we can't receive an answer to our prayer because we're not open to it. We come to prayer very often knowing what the answer is, and we're waiting for God to agree with us. And when that doesn't happen, we say, well, I'm confused. I'm not getting an answer to my prayer. Air has a purifying effect. Think about it. We air things out. Like if it gets stuffy, we open up the window, we air out the house. And there's that delight of washing your clothes and hanging them on a clothesline and the freshness of those clothes that were once stale. It's been aired out. And we talk about airing out our feelings even, right? So an inspired way for us to get unstuck or stop being stale is to open our hearts and our minds to the movement of spirit in our life. Open ourselves to knowing that spirit is going to facilitate a transformation. We don't know what it is. It may not look like the answer to our prayer, but with faith, we can trust that that transformational movement is going on in life and in our life, because that's the nature of spirit. That's the nature of divine grace. We have to open ourselves to it. So there's a question I want to give you for your prayer that you can ask yourself when you get to a stuck place, when you feel like you just can't forgive, you just can't let go, you just can't. Then just say to yourself, what would be like fresh air? Can you feel that in your belly even? What would be like fresh air, just an opening of the heart, of the mind, of the body, of the belly, just a willingness to let it in. That's a lovely prayer, isn't it? Not, God, this is what I want. What do you think of my idea? But, what would be like fresh air here? And then we let go and we see what arises when we open up that window of our heart and our mind to the influence of spirit. We discover This is what the teachings tell us. When we let go of clinging, and you test this out, when we let go of clinging, we let go of suffering. There's a saying in the Vedas, the greatest of all suffering is attachment. Healing power and presence is here right now with us. The winds of grace are blowing right now, in us, through us, and we can not only facilitate by opening to our own healing, but we can intend to be a healing presence. That's a greater healing. We can intend to be a healing presence in the world. We can claim that power, become conscious of it, like the breath of God, breathing you, breathing all that is. And I'm going to close with a poem. This is called Eagle Poem. It's by Joy Harjo, U.S. Poet Laureate. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing. And in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle, that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky in wind, and swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born. Breathe, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. We pray that it will be done in beauty, in beauty.